I'm Sia Henry, an attorney and abolitionist and the founder and executive director of the Hood Exchange. The Hood Exchange introduces formerly incarcerated and otherwise systems impacted Black communities to international travel, creating opportunities for them to connect with the African diaspora while learning about their history and identifying paths to develop personally and professionally. As part of this global learning for health equity cohort, we were exploring whether we can support Black mental health and overall wellness by reconnecting people to their roots and building relationships, community, and a sense of belonging. For this project, which started in the exploration phase of the global learning framework, the Hood Exchange engaged 4 Black men in Atlanta in their 20s and early 30s who have spent time in jail and have never been to the African continent or out of the country generally.
My name is DeAndre Belcher.
What's up, y'all? My name is Jalen Hines.
What up? I'm Kai.
What's good? It's your boy Chaz.
We also had an accompaniment team made up of a formerly incarcerated mentor who has his own nonprofit in Atlanta called Freedom as a Choice, which is working with system impacted young men. Additional members of the accompaniment team were a therapist, an anthropologist, and a cinematographer. We took this group from Atlanta on a week-long trip to Ghana in April 2024. I chose Atlanta as the home city because Atlanta is arguably the only city in the US where Black people have amassed the numbers, political power, and financial capacity to enjoy a level of freedom you don't see anywhere else in the country. That means there's a lot of possibility and room to be creative, and yet the city still has a significant amount of socioeconomic inequality and poor mental and physical health outcomes. I chose Ghana as our global learning site because since declaring independence in 1957, Ghana has developed a long tradition of promoting intercontinental Black solidarity and support for the liberation of people of African descent worldwide.
Too black, too strong. Managana. Welcome to your roots. Managana. Africa for Africans. Managana. Too black, too strong. Managana.
During our time in Ghana, we spent a day with our global learning partner, the POS Foundation, which works with current and formerly incarcerated people in Ghana. We also visited a slave castle, the place where enslaved Africans were held before they were shipped to the Americas. We had a workshop on wellness, mental health, and plant medicines, took a traditional Ghanaian cooking class, and visited cultural sites like W.E.B. Du Bois's house, the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, and the Nshinshim Museum. After returning from Ghana, I organized a number of additional opportunities for the cohort to reconvene, reflect on their participation in the cohort and how they've grown as a result of their experience, and continue connecting and building community. One thing I underestimated is how much many young Black folks, especially our men, are living in a constant state of hyperarousal, constantly having to keep their heads on a swivel, looking out for police or for people who may be trying to kill them. This project underscored the need in our community for and the healing power of rest, safety, and genuine connections. We left the US as strangers and we came back as family. And it's in those relationships that real health and wellness can grow. One of our cohort members lost his mother in the last 2 years. And during our trip, he admitted for the first time out loud how depressed he's been and how much he's disconnected himself from his family. Since going to Ghana, he started spending more time cooking with his grandmother and engaging with the rest of his family. Another one of our cohort members' best friend was arrested days before our trip, and he was so afraid of getting in trouble himself that he stayed in his house until our flight. He's expressed interest in wanting to have more opportunities to experience the world while also having anxiety about staying out of trouble in Atlanta.
It gets to a certain point to where you're in a zoo, right? And when you're in a zoo, you in a zoo with 20 different animals, and everybody trying to eat, but they only throwing in 3 pieces of steak. You know what I'm saying? So 3 pieces of steak and 20 people got to eat. You got to be sharp. You got to be quick. You got to be fast. You got to be sometimes savage. You got to do what it takes. It be a lot of pain, you know what I'm saying, when you're going through certain shit, but it's just like, you just got to keep fighting, bro.
Another cohort member's cousin was killed a week before we went to Ghana, and he lost another loved one while we were traveling. He had a lot of powerful reflections on his own identity and relationship with the African continent. The cohort and accompaniment team have continued to connect with each other, and we're in the process of making a full-length documentary on the experience that we can then share with the broader Atlanta community through screenings and listening sessions. The Hood Exchange is also collaborating with Freedom as a Choice to organize events for other system-impacted young Black people in the city. We're also identifying ways to adapt the concepts and learnings from this project so that it can be more sustainable and accessible to even more Black people in Atlanta.